Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
Especially,
yeah.
it's just like it sucks to just talk about music.
Yeah,
You know what
I
I mean?
know.
Like,
Try talking about photography on an audio
yeah.
podcast.
Wow, the lighting's really good on this one. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish you could see it, but just trust us, I guess.
Yeah, that's sort of why we started the YouTube thing, was just,
Smart.
you know.
Yeah.
I was
but
gonna mention earlier about, like, I feel like people did get the idea, but you know what Fahad was talking about just like throwing or making stuff and just keep on putting it out there.
hmm
That's kind of like the contact sheet thing, you know? Like
What do you mean?
everybody, you know, like when you look at a contact sheet, there's always like either 36, 37, 38 frames, or medium format, it's like 12 to 10 frames.
hmm
And it's like, I was thinking about putting that in there, but I think the message was relayed about, like, you know, just keep on photographing. And
Yeah, even
Yeah.
if not everything is good. Do you
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I get that too.
if you look up, by the way, if you look up Ira Glass taste, there's
Oh.
it's like a 90-second YouTube video, and they have one of those ones with like the words, you know, and like the fun typography, and it's like I show it to every single one of my composition students. I'm like, this is lesson 1. Listen to Ira Glass.
Yeah.
You know, so you might find.
I
some
love
stuff
This
like that.
American Life. So
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
that's really cool. Just a side note, I didn't mention it on the podcast for brevity, brevity, but that's pretty cool that like one of your big like inspirations is part of your like company.
Dude, I can thank my wife for that. When I was in C4, they did this piece of his. So I had studied him in graduate school, and I was like, dude, this guy's amazing. And one of the singers in C4 had like performed in his ensemble, or was like on a recording of his or something, or a couple of them had been. And so they're like, oh yeah, there's this guy, this piece, it's really cool, and he's gonna do the solo. And I was like, okay. And he showed up at the first rehearsal, and I was like, hi, you're cool. And my wife was like, I don't give a fuck who this guy is. And so she just like walked up to him and was like, hi, I'm Cynthia. We're gonna go out to drinks after thing. Do you want to come? And he was like, oh, sure. And you know, and so we just started talking, and I was just starting my publishing company, so I had no establishment at all. And he was, you know, he's like 60 years old. He's firmly established. Albums out on Sony and Cantaloupe Records, you know, major awards and stuff. And I was like, oh, you ever had your stuff published? And he was like, no. And so we started talking about it, and I was like, well, do you want to chat about it? And he was like, so we went for this like 3-hour walk through Fort Tryon Park in Manhattan. It was basically this date where we got to know each other. And by the end of it, he was like, I told him, I was like, I have a vision for how I think choral music should be, and I think that your music fits that vision. I think we could change how choral music is. And he's like, I think so too. I trust you. You can publish my music. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And now he's like my buddy, you know, like,
Wow.
you know,
That's
it's
awesome.
it's been a really weird journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know,
That's
like
awesome.
nothing happens if you don't ask, right?
Right.
True.
Yeah.
Gotta ask.
I really hope that people get that from this episode, is, you know, because that's what I got from this episode.
Sometimes I just send out, like just today, there was, do you know the online publication I Care If You Listen? They're sort of like a curation for new music stuff. And they've been doing this series called Listen Up, where they have artists basically do what you were just saying, like with recommendations for stuff to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, I don't know why, this like really great new music artist she's like, I'm only going to recommend a cappella choral stuff today. And I was like, this is what I've been looking for. And I just started emailing, like all her recommendations were amazing. So I just started emailing the people, and I was like, hi, I love your music. Can I publish it?
Nice.
And you never know. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Maybe one of them will be my Nirvana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that reminds me of something that Pete was talking about, that you wanted to talk about, was the myth of the shameless plug. I don't think.
I think
got to
we
that.
totally covered it. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not in name,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
no. But I think yeah, the like the thing that I think is related to that is the idea that your work is a service,
Mhm.
right? Like the shameless plug is a selfish thing. Like, oh, I need you to like this thing. You
it's
know?
egocentric, kind of.
Yeah, like this is the metaphor I always use about the shameless plug,
Mhm.
which is like think of like a favorite restaurant of yours, right? Like there was this one place in LA on Melrose, and it was like one of the only Neapolitan style wood fire oven pizza places. And it was so good. It was like a block away from the famous place, but it was half the price. It was only $10 for your own pie. And it was just so good. They had this, their own slicer for prosciutto, and they would do like the super thin prosciutto, and they would put it fresh on the I mean, just an unbelievable pizza. I would take people there constantly. I am allergic to cheese, and I was there every week. It was that good.
Yeah.
Okay. I clearly have no shame talking to you about this pizza place.
Right.
Right? Because I love it, and I believe in it, and I know that you will have a great experience if you go there.
Yeah.
With my music, if I write something that I believe in, that I think will have the human experience that we were talking about, then I should have no hesitation in doing the same thing, right? I should have no hesitation in saying, you know what, there's these amazing things that you can do with your voice, and I've written this piece. It's called Hymn to Aethon, and it combines my love of heavy metal and choral music, and I think you and your choir would love to perform this piece that explores the sound of the voice. It'll be like nothing like they've ever done before. Right? I should be able to say that freely because I'm focusing on my mission and the experience of bringing great musical experiences to these performers. Right? So just whenever you think about plugging your music, think about your favorite pizza place. And talk about it the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why not?
I've actually plugged this pizza place during the Neo Voice Festival, Pete, that you were talking about. And afterwards, like half the festival came up to me and said, "So when are we going to get pizza?"
Like right
and
now,
you know
it's a drive, but we'll go.
We took them there after the show.
Perfect.
We all took them to the pizza place.
Yeah.
Like we took it over, and they were like, "This is very good pizza." It was the best pizza in LA. They went out of business. I was very sad. Yeah.
They,
so
they
anyway,
didn't know how to shamelessly promote themselves.
they didn't. You know?
They relied on you too much.
Yeah. So it's just. But I think that there is that sort of. One of the reasons that I love being in the choral music world is because the kind of new music I do is so mind-blowing for people in the choral world, because the choral world is very conservative. And I like, part of my mission is to blow those minds, right? So it's very easy for me to do. It's harder for me in the new music world to be like, listen to my like droney, noisy voice electronic stuff. Like there's a lot of that out there, right? It doesn't mean I don't love it and I don't believe in it, but I seek out audiences where that's new.
Where it will be effective.
Totally, yeah. I bring my noisy, droney, weird stuff to like the church services because I know those people aren't going to encounter that, and they're going to be affected by it in a different way.
They like look up. They're like,
Yeah, they're like, what the hell?
That's
just
what you want,
happened
like
to my
the
ears? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not the but maybe the
Well, my mom used to always say, she's like, get a good reaction, like good or bad, like at least be remembered. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
And
Make
I
an
will
impression.
say, like one of the things that I'm very proud of with a lot of my choral music is that people will come up to me afterwards and they'll be like, I've never heard anything like that, or that was different than everything else on the program. And again, I'm not trying to be different for the sake of being different. I know that I like that weird stuff, and I'm willing to take it to the choral audience. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah,
I'm
it's
willing
like
just to take it to audiences that haven't seen it before.
Yeah, like I was saying, supply and demand a lot, like as a joke, kind of, but like it is like sort of like a universal concept that people know. Like if people want something and you supply it, it just happens, right?
Yes.
And so what you're doing is like seeking out sort of like those situations where that will happen.
Yes, and the difference between selling out and being an authentic artist is understanding that people don't know what they want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because people have bad taste.
A lot of people
we
do.
have good taste.
That's what makes an artist is the great taste. But like look at like Apple computers, right? Like they said, hold on. What the world needs is a great graphic interface that's easy to use. Like the world needs computers. Like the computers are going to change the world. Their why for creating was very big. It was very clear, right? And then they were like, okay, well, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to do that by stealing. I think it was Hewlett Packard's graphic interface, and they're like, we're going to steal that idea and we're going to make it really good and easy to use. And the what was a computer, right? But they weren't like, we're going to be a computer company. They were like, no, we're going to make computers easily accessible to people. We're going to put professional technology tools in the hands of consumers.
Yeah.
Right?
And
and they've done that super, super well, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone can record because of GarageBand, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, and as like I didn't mention my day job, but I'm like an engineer by trade.
Oh,
So when
okay.
you're talking about like plastic production and we went to like Tupperware, that was like, yeah, that makes sense for when I'm on the clock, like 7 to 4. Like that's exactly, yeah, you're saying what makes sense. Like
Totally.
produce the product, make it as cheap as possible so we profit like the
Right,
most.
but like honestly, even with like Apple computers, like yeah, okay, people are manufacturing those computers and, you know, designing software and whatever, but again, with the end goal that like we are going to bring powerful technology tools to the masses, and we're going to democratize art making. You know, like we don't talk about it like that, but that is what, you know, like what modern technology has done for people, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
Absolutely.
the motivation that gets that stuff going. So
yeah,
yeah,
we
like,
talked about that a lot in a previous episode actually. Like gear, it wasn't the gear one, was it, Pete? What was it? Where we were talking about like the democratization of photography. Was it the photography episode where we
I
talked
think it was
about
the
that?
photography episode.
Yeah, and that's like an interesting byproduct. And I think like something that's important is also like the engineering process isn't always like we're gonna make this thing like you're saying, like a computer, but like they started with a problem first and then sort of like tried a lot of different things and came to the solution with the least resistance, with the most like profitability that
totally
solved that problem the most.
Yeah, we need more Tupperware that won't absorb spaghetti sauce color.
The smell.
They always do.
The smell.
they don't if they're high quality plastic or glass.
Yeah. Glass is the way to go. That's.
But even
Do you
like the
get-
really high quality plastic ones, like they don't absorb the. It's weird.
Oh, gotcha. I never buy those, so I don't know.
I've got a set from Rubbermaid. They're leak proof and they don't absorb the color of spaghetti sauce.
Insane.
It's it's totally bonkers.
Yeah. Very cool. Sweet.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it
thanks
was great
again.
talking to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
it
want to
was great
steal
to
any
hang
more of your
out.
time.